First comment of the day is from Pam Norwalk. She says investigators had several suspects and cleared them all through good investigation. Once they found this defendant, he cleared everybody else himself. Not one of the others had blood in their vehicle, had video of them following Mollie, took them to the body, and let's not forget the confession. Now, DeWitt, this is what we talked about earlier. You know, there's these other factors. You can put up all the straw men you want or other people that might have been involved, but without dealing with those other factors, it's going to be hard for this jury to go any other way.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. You know, the evidence that's stacked against the defendant is like we said, it's pretty damning. Now, maybe that question or that comment answers the question that we asked earlier. Are people going to be mad about it? Some may. And that may not work out well for the defendant if that's the effect that it's having on jurors.
Yeah, it is, and that leads me right to our next comment, DeWitt. Debbie Jorgensen says, and this is indicative of a lot of the social media chatter that I've been seeing, the defense is making me so angry badgering the boyfriend. Who led police to the body? Whose car had Mollie's blood in the trunk? And I want to go to you quickly, Chanley. Any sense of how the jury is receiving the questioning of Dalton Jack?
Well, we do have a print reporter inside the courtroom most days, and today said just generally taking notes. No really overt reactions from the jurors, but it is interesting that they do seem interested in the defense case, so that does say something, right? That they are paying attention and taking notes. But tomorrow we will actually be inside the courtroom, so I will have firsthand accounts of what the jury is doing.
And if my understanding is correct, Chanley, you said there's even someone else who the defense might be holding up as a possible suspect being called to the stand as well.
Exactly, yes. So Jackson Eichhorn, he's a name that we've heard repeated on cross-examination of the prosecution witnesses and is subpoenaed by the defense that we could possibly hear from tomorrow. He is one of those other suspects, and I've counted around 10, Michael, other names that were dropped by the defense. And this particular one, his cell phone was pinging over a cemetery in the area that Mollie Tibbetts was running the night that she disappeared, and police mentioned him and looked into him, and apparently now the defense is going to likely call him tomorrow to the stand.
And DeWitt, what do you make of that strategy? They're not just pointing the finger at one person. They're saying, hey, it could be any one of these people. Is that positive or negative as far as how this defense is going forward?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on the context, right? And who's going to be the audience that's hearing that. In this jury, we have to look that we're in a very white Iowa, you know, and this is a Latino defendant who has some immigration issues, right? To put it mildly, right? So, you know, there's going to be a lot of, you know, undercurrents that are going with how, I guess, the jury is going to decide this ultimately.
And there are 3 Latino women on the jury, or 3 Latinos on the jury, so there's something to keep in mind. Let me get to our last comment. Marianne Feigl says, I feel like I'm living in an alternate universe watching these defense lawyers. The reality is the defendant stalked her, brought them to Mollie's body, had her DNA blood in his trunk, and friggin' said he did it, period. All right, I'm going to have to leave it there. Chanley Painter, I want to thank you so much for sticking around and joining us. DeWitt, Lacy, always a pleasure to have you on the show.